So thank you very much for coming on the inaugural Digital Voices webinar, which is really weird. So this webinar is pre-recorded. So if you have questions, we can't answer them live, but if you comment them, we'll find a way to get some form of answer to you. And today we're going to be talking about how travel has adapted and how travel content creators have adapted during the first pandemic of our generation. Massive lockdown, complete transformation of people's lives, economic crisis and madness. So we're going to look at how the travel industry and travel creators have responded. Just want to say we've got some really great guests today. We've got Simon Wilson, who has over 600,000 followers on social media, and you've got something ridiculous, like over 67 million views. You've got a presence on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. You're known for doing no money challenges. You're known for pushing the boundaries of travel. I'm so excited to have you on here as a creator, but also as like an innovator, because I think you've adapted and been quite a savvy business person through all this. Of course, we've worked together on campaigns before for brands like Booking.com and Surfshark. So yeah, I'm really happy to have you on here. Okay. And we have also Borja Mathau. Is that how you say your surname, Borja?
Yes, it is.
Who is dialing in from Spain, who works for, well, you've done a cacophony of things. You used to work for Starwood, you now work for one of the biggest tech travel companies in the world. You ran your own YouTube channel called Borja the Gay Explorer for a while, which was tremendous. And have traveled the world as a creator and also kind of commissioning influencer content. Yeah, I'm really excited to have you both on in this weird dystopian post-COVID world. I'm Jenny and I'm the CEO of Digital Voices. We are a YouTube specialist influence marketing agency, and we've done a lot of travel work and also loved seeing how travel creators have adapted. So yeah, really, really looking forward to it. Simon, do you want to introduce yourself? Because I've, ranted about you enough.
My name's Simon. I've been on YouTube now for taking it seriously, like 2.5, 3 years now. It only feels like yesterday. Started like sneaking into events, didn't start it on purpose doing that. And then it sort of gone into the travel space. And, in that time I've traveled over 50 countries and been around the world at least a few times. That sort of sums it up in a nutshell.
Pretty good. Yeah. You went from no money challenges to like actually making money from travel, which is pretty rare.
Yeah. Exactly. It's like the irony of it. The irony of like making money out of doing no money challenges. But again, I never got into YouTube to make money. I got into it. I just was documenting what I was doing anyway. I wanted to travel about. Didn't have any money to do it. And then, a few suggestions I should start filming it, and here we are.
I have so many questions about how you've adapted your content, so I'm sure we'll get there. But Borja, do you want to introduce yourself as well?
Sure. So I've been involved with YouTube for the past, I would say, maybe 4 years. And my first experience actually was with Jenny, that we worked on a campaign together. But before that, I've always been involved in the hospitality sector, in the travel sector, within hotels themselves, but then also to corporate offices, and then also to tech travel. So I think always I've been in love with travel, and I became a passion that I turned into a job. And in between all of that, as Jenny, you mentioned, I've also done my YouTube channel, which primarily really involved around the component of traveling, but also exploring how different components of the LGBT lives were in different cities around the world. And now I'm in the tech travel business, and I became a huge fan of Simon, so it does become surreal to be here with him on a call. Awesome. Thank you, mate.
It's actually really, I'm so glad this weird meeting has been facilitated somehow. So I wanted to ask how things have changed under lockdown. So Simon, I noticed like your views and subscribers have grown by like 14 and 17% under lockdown, which is amazing given on YouTube alone, given that travel has kind of not necessarily done the best, travel content hasn't performed that well during lockdown. So how did that happen, and how has lockdown affected your travel content?
Flipping heck, where do I start? It's been a funny one for me because there's no one who loves meeting people and traveling more than me. Like, I love it. It's my passion, and that's why I do it, and I've done it for so long. But at the same time, even people who travel the most and who love doing it, you do need a break, and you do need to sort of take a step back and
just get your head out the game to sort of hit the reset button, because you see all these amazing views around the world, meet all these amazing people. It can sort of become the norm. So lockdown for me has been good in the sense that it's allowed me to sort of take a step back, focus on other parts of the business and my brand. But on top of that, it's allowed me to sort of refocus and, what I actually want to do and which directions I want to go in. So, it's sort of, it's been healthy in a way to basically do that.
And you just, before lockdown, you just released Rat Race and finished the Rat Race series, which was kind of like a TV production on your channel. And you're really excited to take that to the next level. So have you found that in kind of the pause, has it changed your focus? Has it changed what you wanted?
To be honest, like it's put everything on pause in a sense, like, and not only that, it's nice to sort of take that step back and focus on the business and different things. But at the same time, that's come and gone now, and now there's other countries like going back into a second lockdown. And now, I've had a bit of a break. I've refocused. That's great. Now I want to get back on it. But Rat Race 2, I was hoping to do the second one exactly 12 months from doing the first one. But fortunately, because of obviously the travel restrictions and not knowing if countries are going to go back into lockdown and what's going to happen with them, again, I've not been able to plan and not been able to put anything in the diary, which is a shame, really. Because I wanted to do that so much this year.
And so what have you pivoted towards? What business changes have you made during lockdown?
There's loads of things, but I think the main thing for me is sort of gathered my thoughts, know what I want to do moving forward. I had so many ideas to do this year that I've not been able to do. And as well as on top of those ideas, I've now got more ideas. So I think we're sorted for the next 3 or 4 years now. But yeah, on top of that, obviously, like you were saying, regurgitating content, looking at other platforms and things like that. Let's take Facebook, for example. I've been posting on Facebook now for 12 months, not even 12 months, 12 months maybe, just around the 12-month mark. And, that's just gone from strength to strength. And I've got like 2.6 million followers on Facebook. And that's in 12 months.
That's literally mad. So have you been cutting down footage you've had and just repurposing it like a publisher?
Yeah, I think so. Like my editor has been with me full time since I had 30k subs. So on top of that, we've added other members to the team. My office now, we've got 7 full-time members of staff. So yeah, it's just like sort of moving into different directions and, different brand stuff. And yeah, just sort of looking at the whole brand as a business, really.
And pre-lockdown, I think you had 3 or 4 staff. So you've hired under lockdown.
Yeah, exactly. So we've hired at least 1 a month during the lockdown.
That's mad. Okay. Borja, how have you found that lockdown has changed your kind of working situation, changed your thoughts on campaigns? Because both of you are 2 of the people I know who every time I see you are like, go, go, go on 7 projects at once, cannot stop for a second. And I love the energy. But this reset must be completely different. How have you found it?
Yeah, I mean, suddenly it was from one day having, I don't know how many projects, and I focused a lot on testing new channels, new sort of brand campaign spins, etc. to a week from there, suddenly everything was stopped. And I think this gave brands like a moment to pause and reflect of, okay, where are we? Where do we want to be? What's the new world going to be shaped afterwards? And sort of like reshape a little bit the message that you want to give to your audience, to your users, and how to acquire new people to join your brand. I think for me it was a drastic stop, and then you sort of try to find ways to restart again because it was something very still. But I think the most important that everyone's trying to find a way to right now is in this moment of uncertainty, in this moment of political, economical, human changes that we're experiencing, is how do you stay top of mind of consumers still? You don't want to advertise travel. You cannot really do so. It would be a little bit tone deaf. But still, how do you, through your brand, stay in touch with them? And I think that's where genuine and authentic content and sort of like good storytelling comes to play. And from my experience, I think that was very much done through influencer and content creators. And I hope that we can get back to it soon once travel sort of kicks in again.
And do you find that the industry is like chomping at the bit to get going again, or are people so scared of the uncertainty that they're not planning any campaigns?
I think this depends on the brand. There's brands that they're risk takers and they're going to go full on into it. And there's other brands that they like to play it safe. Obviously, the ones that make the bold moves are the ones that are going to stand out, that they're going to become a brand out of it. And for sure, you've seen this many videos that maybe a first brand showcase YouTube content where they were saying, hey, we're all in this together. We're all experiencing the same, showing videos of people staying at home with kids doing exercises at home. And suddenly you saw 10 different brands doing the same. The first one, maybe you remember, the other ones, they sort of start like falling down.
Yeah.
But from my experience, everyone that I'm working with, they're so keen in like starting again and planning. And the minute that we gotta go, that we know what we're doing and that we know like which content creators to work with, which campaigns we want to push forward, and what message we want to portray as well.
So we've seen a huge trend during lockdown, and we released a report on it about for productive entertainment. People are at home, they know they could sit and do nothing. They know they could fall into a hole where they do nothing of value, but there's been a huge demand to learn new skills. So if you look at like searches for how to edit videos have more than doubled on YouTube. People are often looking to learn something or to gain an experience through the content they're watching. And just to be entertained when TV is stalling, when all those productions are stalling as well. So I think this is where kind of brands should be taking advantage of creators more. Like a lot of Simon's content is travel, but it's educational travel, or it's like cultural immersion travel. Right. I don't feel as though it's typical, here I am in this really nice hotel, which I think makes it feel slightly more productive, or more like it's not an educational choice, but you're gaining something from the content. And I think brands can move beyond this compassionate message that happened at the beginning of lockdown, and should now look at how can I be useful to stay top of mind. Simon, have you found that the content you've created since lockdown has changed fundamentally? Have you tried to change your approach to it? Not
really, to be honest. And I think, obviously being inside and not being able to do content, and not to be able to do my average content, and not knowing when I can get back out there to do what I want to do, it's sort of like, you do think, oh, should I create a video indoors, or should I do something locally or something? And to be honest, like, I haven't. So I haven't changed anything that I've done. And instead of sort of forcing something or trying to come up with something that for the sake of it, I've just sort of thought, I'm just going to sort of take this time to myself. And then when everything sort of opens back up again, obviously I can get back doing what I love.
So are brands still interested in working with you during lockdown? And have you seen them ask for anything different? Are there requests for anything out of the normal?
I would say in terms of brands reaching out, I would say if anything, it's more. But obviously like the channel's growing as well. So I think it's not just a case of because it's lockdown, if that makes sense. I think a lot of the brands that have reached out are sort of non-committal in terms of, we don't know when this is going to happen, but we want to do it. Are you interested? So it's been sort of more that way. So yeah, I'd say from a brand point of view, it's been sort of no commitment normally when it's like sort of strict deadlines.
That's exactly what Borja was saying. I think everyone's like in this planning mode where they're so desperate to do something, they don't know what, so they're reaching out preemptively. And as an agency, what we're seeing is a lot of the turnarounds now are so much faster. So when a brand says go, it's like, you've got 2 weeks to get the campaign live, go. And that's not really how content creators work. If we turned around to you and said, Simon, we can pay you 50 grand to do a video in 2 weeks, I mean, you might find a way to do it, but you probably you'd probably be like, this, I need to plan this content. I need like 6 weeks to turn it around.
Yeah.
Borja, so when you think about travel at the moment, do you think there's a demand for a different type of content? Do you think that travel companies are going to innovate and try and focus on staycations or focus on domestic travel, try and do something a bit different to stay front of mind without without alienating their potential customers.
Totally. I mean, the same way that we are eagerly planning our campaigns on what to do next, people are planning what they're going to do in their next holidays or where they want to go, like what is their wish destination or their bucket list. So they're definitely planning for that. And big travel brands and tech companies, they do have all the data. So you can see a trend of companies starting to build content around that. Let that be written content like articles like where to visit, or also video content of like the must-sees in this country. Definitely, and a lot of publications support this, is that people are, because of fear of flying, they're starting to travel more domestically, where you can go by car, where you can go to spend a weekend. So that's a big push that content should reflect, especially on social media channels like Facebook, Instagram, etc. And also, a next shift that I think we're going to start seeing is it's going to be more secondary cities. So if you come to the Netherlands, maybe instead of visiting Amsterdam, which has been known for over tourism, maybe you go and visit Rotterdam, or maybe you go to destinations that they're not in the top 10 bucket list. So instead of maybe going to Thailand, you're going to explore a different country in Asia as well. So I do see increased from users that people are trying to explore different locations to visit, but not the cliche ones. And they're also a lot in that planning stage, that not only dream, but what are we going to do when all of this changes?
There was a survey done by a brand we work with, and they said they were looking at the motivations for traveling. So domestically, so what would be the top motivation? This was just as lockdown was ending. The obvious one were like family, right? You go and you see your family, it's the first thing you do. 36% of people said they were motivated to travel by seeing their family, right? 37%, this was like the leading cause, was to do a day trip to a city. And we're like, London is shut down. There's like no theatre. There's no art. There's like some restaurants open. It's great. And this was, I mean, back in June, July. And I just could not believe that the idea of traveling to cities for a day trip was more motivating than the idea of seeing your isolated gran. But I think there's something where just humans are so desperate now.
Yeah. Do you know what? Well, it is tough in the sense of like, so since lockdown, I've been to 3 countries. So I've done Spain, Greece and Czech Republic. I did Spain. The week after I got back from Spain, there's now a 14-day quarantine for UK citizens coming back from Spain. Then I went to Athens and went over to Mykonos. Now there's the government advises to quarantine if you're coming back from Greece for 14 days. And then as of 4 a.m. tomorrow morning, if you're coming back from the Czech Republic, you've got a quarantine for 14 days. And like, to be honest, going to these different countries, Spain sort of, you know, you could see coronavirus had sort of happened there and people were cautious. Greece, it was as if there was like no care in the world. It was as if nothing had ever happened.
Yeah.
And the same with the Czech Republic. It was as if, you know, no social distancing, no nothing. It's as if honestly, it's as if it doesn't exist. So, but now obviously those could, so it's so hard. You just can't plan, can you? But
so this is what I think is different. So for you, traveling is a way to make money because it's your business, right?
Yeah.
For most people, the idea of planning a holiday to have it cancelled and planning a holiday not knowing if you're going to be able to fly there, and the idea of having to do all the bureaucracy of claiming back flights, claiming back hotels, is really stressful and not worth it, and I think undermines holidays.
Yeah, and not only that, you know, people save up for 1 year, 2 years for their holiday, gently, for it to be cancelled. It's like, look, counting down the days for like 2 years to get it then cancelled. It's just, yeah.
So it's like, why don't we instead go to Margate? Do you get what I mean? If you know it's certain, you know you can get there, you know you can spend a bit more because you're saving on flights. Have you not like seen the huge, well, so Borja was saying he'd seen a demand for domestic travel. Have you not thought about doing like around the UK more content?
Not really.
Oh, no.
Have you seen the weather out here? It's raining. I can't do anything.
Simon in his anorak. It would be a great series.
Yeah, I'll go through about 10 cameras just getting soaked in the rain.
So we saw travel creators. So Cara and Nate, we work with them a lot, and they're a traveling couple. And they decided to buy a van and renovate their van and do domestic travel. I mean, you could buy a van, Simon, do a camper van around the UK.
Buying a van. Van life. Simon's van life.
You did the car to Madrid, same thing.
Yeah, I need to figure out a way that I can get petrol for no money.
Yeah. Simon runs away from every petrol forecourt in the UK, every BP garage.
Yeah, just going into petrol stations. Oh, do you mind if I could just work for 4 hours for a tank of petrol?
They'd be like, that's not worth it, mate. It's 100 quid. Yeah, but I mean, it's quite interesting. So I'm surprised. We're seeing a lot of brands asking creators to travel in the UK and asking creators to go and see friends in the UK, or very domestic focused, just because they feel like that's safer, and then they're not endorsing anything that feels risky.
Interesting.
Borja, how are you seeing marketing spend change? Are you seeing brands being much more cautious about marketing spend moving forward and trying to make it go further? And what do you think the implications of that will be for kind of influencer and agency relationships with brands?
Yeah, so definitely COVID-19 has reshuffled and shuffled again how marketing works. And the spend has been a key pillar of that. I think brands now, they're sort of holding back a little bit. And as I said, they're pausing and reflecting all those channels that they're using and what are the most profitable depending the objectives of those campaigns, and push through those. However, it is a very tricky situation because, as Simon said, suddenly you can travel to Spain, but then in a week from now, they're going to tell you, wait, no, you actually have to quarantine. So do you want to push content that promotes Spain as a destination, or do you want to hold back on that? So I think budgets are going to be cut down and optimized to what is more profitable, which honestly I love. I think at some point, as a brand tries to be everywhere, you're really nowhere. You touch base on several points, but you become a brand that you're trying to reach everyone all the time, and it does not become as authentic and genuine as it should be. And I see influencer content creators being the complete opposite of that. And I also see the relationship that brands are going to have with content creators differently. Up till now, a lot of brands have reached out to influencer agencies where they're like, hey, we have this campaign, we want influencers. And then maybe the agency would send you 20 influencers. They would do a short video or post a picture. And then those influencers, they would move to the next and to the next campaign. And as a user, you realize when you follow a certain content creator that the content is not genuine, that's an ad. Whereas now I think the shift is going to be realizing that content creators can be a great source of authentic content because they know your brand and because they admire your brand. So instead of being a quick book 20 content creators, it's going to be hey, let's foster a relationship with 5. Let's make sure that they use our products, that they become the ambassadors of such, and then they engage with our brand during their filming, that it really becomes more of an organic integration versus a paid integration. And I think that for me is going to be the biggest spin. And as a brand, you want to sort of build a partnership with the consumer and the consumer to create that content. And in this case, you have not only a great consumer, but also an expert in content creation. And that would be someone like Simon, for instance. So that would be the real storytelling. And I hope that with coronavirus and this whole reshuffling in budget, that brands start analyzing what are the performing channels that did work very well in the past, but also what are the new ones that they've shown great potential and that we can tap even further on with it.
Yeah, I think you raise lots of really interesting points there, but one in particular I'm fascinated by. I think this long-term relationship, but coupled with using content creators for a variety of things that they're good at. So, okay, during COVID at the beginning, you couldn't go to a video production company and say, make us an ad, because social distancing was happening because they couldn't run film sets. So people started turning away from video production agencies and thinking, who else can produce this content? Mm-hmm. Simon, if you went to make a video, say for any brand, could then, and you've done this in the past with a couple of brands we've worked with actually, you produce behind the scenes footage and run it, we edit it and run it as an ad. You have a team of 7, they can edit for you, they can make sure it stays in your style. And then the company can purchase usage rights and actually get so much more mileage from your content, and the endorsement feels so much more authentic because you're agreeing to be part of their paid campaign for the next 6 months. I think this will really increase, because if you go, so on average, there's a study done, on average, if you go to a content creator to produce ads, it's 50% cheaper than going to a video production company. And it's just like, okay, so moving forwards, brands should look at efficiency, look at costs, look at guaranteed results, but also make that influencer partnership go further, build on it in the long term, and create way more content, because that person's capable and it's someone you're underutilizing. Have you had any people ask you to produce more advertising content, Simon, during lockdown?
Not really in that capacity, no. But I was speaking to Living Bobby, who's a friend of mine who does travel stuff, and like he did an ad for honey, I think it was. So I know there is brands that, you know, are doing that. It's not something I've sort of thought about doing in the sort of near future at the minute. You were actually the first person. We did it with a travel brand I can't mention about a year ago, and you were the first person they ever tried it with, and they said the downloads from Snapchat stories as a result of people seeing your face saying download this app were much higher than anything they'd done before. So they decided then that shifted their entire perspective from performance marketing on influencers. Yeah. So it's funny, I think it's something that could definitely be added on, and smart brands will adapt to it really quickly. And smart creators, I think, will also hopefully make nice money out of it as well. Yeah, definitely.
Apparently it's 50% cheaper and 40% more memorable.
Yeah, exactly. And I think as well, from a brand point of view, it's like having a YouTube create something that's authentic and genuine, and authentic and genuine, instead of something that's like a highly produced ad. I just think, again, you know, from both ends, if I had a big brand, I know which one if I had a business that I was selling ads or trying to sell a product, you know, I know which one I'd be going for. You want something that's relatable, that, you know, people can relate to, instead of all these like well done, highly produced ads. I don't see the value in it personally.
Well, I think it's also like the idea of a really fancy over-the-top activation that gets press coverage, that often you're doing a crazy activation, spending a lot on events as a brand, hoping it gets PR coverage. So you've got to do something really crazy. You've got to pay a PR agency a lot of money as well. And if it's a physical event, attending it obviously is impossible. You've got to hope it does well. Yeah. And I think that's very, very different to, like, it's very polished, and it's very different to the type of very raw, authentic creator content. Yeah. That actually I think we've seen during lockdown. There's a 20.5% rise in the number of YouTube subscribers, and there's like a 15.85% increase in viewership. Like it's where people are turning isn't to polished content, they're turning to and choosing to watch less polished content. So I'm hoping that challenges this, I don't know, the domination of maybe PR agencies and events agencies who, and big agencies who really want to do massively overproduced, really polished ads. I don't think they necessarily do much beyond winning awards at Cannes.
Yeah, I mean, I think also with the ads, some ads are great, and I think you need to have a balance of both, because they're very much complementary. But an ad at the end of the day can be a great ad, but you certainly need to put money behind to show that ad either on traditional media like TV, or also show it on different social channels, etc. Whereas when you collaborate and co-create content with an influencer or someone like Simon, you know, that content is going to be seen organically. So your cost is in building some great content, which you still need to do for the ad, but your cost is not in distribution, that's already included. And the result from paid views is nowhere close as good to results from organic views. And I think that's one of the essential things that matter right now. Great, you have a paid campaign that's it has been seen by 500,000 people. Awesome. Most likely that video, the count is after 3 seconds, which is not that much. But then through organic content on YouTube, you get the same amount of people, but that they've seen over 30 seconds. And that's really the true metric that you want. And that's really the engagement that you want from your audience. And that's really when you know that that campaign and that ad has worked. And I think with highly produced ads with a big marketing spend, they don't have the same impact compared to content creators there.
Yeah, 100% agree. I think, Simon, you're gonna.
Good question. With obviously the ads that you say, there should be a mix of like paid and organic. Paid and influencer ads. If the influencer ads, completely agree with everything you say, but then isn't it worth the money that you'd spend on the paid ads worth going into maybe doing twice as much influencer ads?
Basically, from the paid ads, you want to sort of focus more on the performance side from one aspect, or also on the big awareness. And that's where you accompany that ad with a PR push, try to win awards and accolades, and that relationship. With the influencer section is when you really want to engage with the audience and where you see the two communication stream. So paid ads is only one way for people to see, for you to push, but then there's this like several touch points. And I think that's where influencer content creators would come in, that you sort of see it again and you see it from a trusted source.
I think I've never thought I'd ever defend paid ads. I mean, paid polished ads. I think there's something to do with an influencer can definitely help you get out a brand message or a campaign message or a product, information about a product. But I think then you kind of need paid assets to solidify that brand identity.
Yeah.
Because people who love Simon, and they might be like, oh, he's worked with Surfshark, brilliant. But they still love Simon. Wow, that's amazing. I just want to buy into him. And so I think to really convert to a sale, you do need to somehow take that trust, but inject your brand into it in a way that at some point the brand has to own. And I think that's where paid comes in, because often brands are like, okay, if they hear our name, that's brilliant, but we need them to understand who we are and become like advocates of the brand.
Yeah.
And that's where I think
you're hitting it from all angles, basically.
Yeah.
And I think also from a targeting standpoint, I think with content creators, you can go quite specific with who you want to target, depending what content creator you choose. And also the platforms really let you deep dive who your audiences are and who has watched that content. But I think with paid ads, it's creepy even how granular you can get into the type of audience that you want to reach. So if you know that there's a specific niche that really converts, you can get through Facebook ads or through PPC on Google, like really, really into it as well. So I think that's also a good component that paid ads have the specific targeting.
Yeah. And this is why I think having influencer content you can use in paid ads is like the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
Because then you can do all that targeting, but with like a trusted face like Simon's. Look at him. He's such a lovely guy. Go on, Simon, say it.
What a lovely guy.
So Simon, what advice do you have for brands who are looking to do travel campaigns or influence campaigns post COVID-19? What advice do you have for them after having a lot of time to reset and think?
Ooh, I've not reset that much. No, I'd say it's similar to what I would say before COVID, to be honest. I think, what you were saying about brands now are wanting to do stuff when, more around domestic travel, because, it's more safe, it's more brand friendly in terms of, you're encouraging people to like staycation and stuff like that. I totally get that. But at the same time, as things ease and as a vaccine comes into play, the world, I'm sure, will get back to normal at some point.
Yep.
So yeah, I think, again, for the bigger picture of it and stuff like that, like you were saying about the brands who are bold in these sort of times are going to be the ones that stand out. And I just think, again, similar to what I would have said before COVID, to be honest, when you do a campaign with an influencer, obviously you're buying into them as a person, and just to give them the creativity to do what they need to do to make that video authentic and genuine, and get the best results for the brand as well, sort of thing.
We did such a lovely campaign during lockdown, and so we were doing basically loads of stuff paused. We were doing NHS, and we were asked to do one by Burt's Bees, and it's like, okay, but you can't sell Burt's Bees products. We're not going to sell lip balm now. Like, hands down, not the right approach. They were like, don't worry, is there something else you could come up with? Or we're going to cut the campaign. We were like, well, how about you do care packages? One of my friends, I was alone actually, like at the beginning of lockdown. And then one of my friends sent me a package of clothes and I was like, oh, this is so nice. So I was like, how about you do a care package for someone you can't see? So I had two creators one sent it to a cousin who was an essential worker for the NHS, including like Burt's Bees products, but loads of other stuff too. And another girl sent it to her mum who she hadn't seen in months. It was actually really lovely and really well received. And there was a competition element, like if you say who you think deserves it in the comments, the influencer will choose a winner and they will get the same care package. So it was very cute and very wholesome. Yeah. And I was like, thank you for doing something different. Because everyone was talking about like filming those awkward ads with like, hi, I'm from HSBC and I'd really like to help. We're all in this together. Yeah. And you're like, what is going on? Like Nationwide, I think it was Nationwide. Sorry, Nationwide, if you watch this, doing like all these we're in this together Zoom call things. Like ITV jumped on it. Every brand jumped on doing like Zoom call ads. And it got old so quickly. And it's like, try and do something slightly different. Try and just be a bit bold and use influencers and creators. Use influencers as content creators, but also value the relationship they have with their audience. And if you can supplement or support that in some way, that audience will be much more loyal to you in the future as a brand.
100%.
Sorry, I went on a rant there. Borja, is there any advice you would give to influencers looking to work with travel brands after COVID? See what I did there? Oh.
Yeah. I think my big suggestion, it would be actually two of them. One, to really try to keep fostering that brand content creator relationship, to really build one that you both trust each other. I think that's gonna, for the influencer and its audience, is gonna become more organic and nice to see that you are loyal to a brand, and that intrinsically is going to drive even better results for the campaign. And also, from my experience, the more trust that there is and the better the relationship that you build with the influencers, the brand, the faster the recording goes, the faster the editing, you know what the brand wants, and vice versa. So I would say focus on, building that relationship with brands. And the second one would be to really, really, really tell the brand, like, hey, the audience knows me, they like the content that I produce. Don't pressure me too much in doing content in the way that you would do an ad, which I think it's something that we do a lot and that we should be receiving greater pushback, because we're like, oh, this is our brand standards, this is how we speak, this is like the colors that we use. And you're like, okay, but I'm also a brand and this is how I speak, this is the colors I use. So really feel free to push back. And I think it's an education process for both parties. So educate us on how to work with you even more and make it better.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Some brand requests like logos throughout the video, it's just like, no.
Exactly. And that's it. It's so frustrating as well for a content creator, because you're like, you know what works. Like, I know what works. I know what my audience like. I want it to be genuine and authentic. I'd like to think anybody who watches this, they see me, they're like, oh yeah, that's the same guy who I watch in the video. It's not like a completely different person, Jenny. And it's like, I feel like a lot of brands that reach out, they obviously, because they're paying for it, they want X, Y, Z, A, B, C, they want everything. And I completely understand that, because if that was my business and I was paying good money for an advert, I'd want that too. But at the same time, less is more in a way. And I just think the content, exactly what's already been said, the content creator knows best.
I think your staycation videos of like no money staycation, 24 hours in a London public toilet would be great, Simon.
Yeah, well, I'm looking for a van. I'm looking for a van as we speak. Got all the trader up.
I would watch your van upgrade videos. Definitely.
Just get like a Heinz tomato ketchup pump in it. You'll be sorted.
Or if you make it a remote office, I mean, you could go Land Rover, like a Land Rover Defender, and literally make it into a remote office.
Get like a G-Wagon, get like a top of it.
Could you buy a really old limo and convert it? That would be
Well,
That would be amazing. Yeah.
I know.
So I've got to go. If you want this cut from the recording, it's my next video. So, okay, I think 2 more questions that are very general. Have either of you learned anything during lockdown? Have you learned a new skill?
Yes.
Go on, Simon.
I can do a Rubik's Cube in 1 minute.
Can you?
Yeah.
Oh, great. Do it now, and then while I answer, you can. This is so funny.
I've been actually doing it as a video. I've been like, because
right, I'm going to set a timer.
I'm like looking and I'm just doing my.
I'm going to give me a second. I'm going to set a timer. This is going to be great. Okay, tell me when you're ready to start.
Okay, are you happy with this? It's mixed up.
Yeah, that's all right. Happy with this?
Whoa, don't start yet.
1 minute time. I'm just showing everyone it's there.
Right.
This is not what Borja expected from the.
We're just looking right.
3, 2, 1, go. Okay.
Oh, where's the other one?
Concentration. All right. Should we keep? We're not going to ask Borja what his new skill is until this is done. So
no, I'm very focused on what's going to be the result here. I'm like seeing like if the colors are starting to match or not, or what's happening.
You've got 35 seconds to think about your skills. Oh no, Simon, 30 seconds down. It's getting there. Did you learn from Mike Boyd?
No, I don't know who I learned from. It was like a video on YouTube.
Sensei, yeah, Mike Boyd one. It was like 13 seconds, 12. Okay.
We're nearly there.
5,
Messed it up.
3,
No.
2, 1. No.
Keep going. We're
okay.
just going to keep going. Keep talking. I'm going to keep going.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Cool. I've stopped the timer, but it's all right. I think
We're definitely going to do it in 2 minutes.
Yeah, you'll do it within 2 minutes, definitely.
Maybe we can edit it out so it seems that he actually stopped it within the 1 minute.
To be honest, I can do it if you gave me an hour. So look at that concentration, Simon. The thumbnail's going to be you with your tongue sticking out. Love it. Oh.
Done.
That is great. I think that
1
was
minute 20.
1 minute 22, but that is.
Okay, no, we nearly got there. To put me on the spot like that, cut me some slack.
That was actually tremendous. I'm so impressed. How did you decide to learn that during lockdown?
I've always wanted to do a Rubik's Cube, and one day I was like, do you know what? I'm just gonna learn to do a Rubik's Cube. And after like stopping and starting the YouTube video for about 4 hours, we've now got to the point where we're doing it in 1 minute and 22. Let me show you something else I made in lockdown. 1 second.
Go on.
Oh my god. Maybe something Lego related? Oh my.
Lamborghini.
You made it.
Yeah, a Lego Lamborghini. It's huge. Like, it's massive.
That's awesome.
Yeah, like the doors, the wings.
So it's Lego, okay. I guess right, at least.
Yeah, it was Lego. You did it.
And I also made a Defender.
A Defender. Your new
For your
office.
tour.
Yeah.
Your new office. That's amazing.
I know, so I made them both.
And the twist is, we're going to give one of these away to one of the lucky viewers.
Yeah.
We're not.
We'll give something else away. I've got a Fiat 500 in there as well.
How long did they take you?
This one, no joke, it's 4,000 pieces. So this one took me like, I think if I just stuck at it constantly, I reckon at least 24 hours. And then this one was like 1,500 pieces. I reckon maybe 6 or 7 hours.
Blimey, that's impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll put these back. I'll be back with you.
I did a jigsaw during lockdown. I did 1,000 piece. I went to Berlin and I did 1,000 piece jigsaw of Paris.
All the way from London.
Yeah, I know. I was like, this is the worst skill to pick up. I'm now boring and old, but that's okay. It's great.
Yeah, I don't know if Simon decided not to do videos during lockdown or if Lego decided for him that he could not do videos.
That's the truth.
Simon, that is literally this is what I said. You are both people who always have like 7 projects on the go at once. You get locked in your flat, you're like, right, I'm going to do all the Lego.
Yeah, honestly, they were just the 2 pieces I could carry. I've just like bought the whole of the Lego website and just done everything. Do you want to see something really cool that I bought during lockdown?
Okay, go on. Favourite lockdown purchase? Could be like,
Right.
oh, don't be a gun. Don't be a gun.
It's not a gun.
Oh, sorry.
Rubiks Pokemon cards.
Oh.
This has become a trend. More people than ever are buying Pokemon cards under lockdown.
Charizard.
Well, I think I made that up, but I know lots of people are buying and unboxing Pokemon cards.
I've got more Charizards and there's like Blastoise. I bought like graded Pokemon cards and they're really cool.
You know, Matt edits all our stuff, and he literally, you've made his day.
Oh, yeah, I'm just flexing my Lego and Pokemon over it.
Check it out. Borja, what is a new skill you have learned during lockdown?
I mean, you said you had 2 questions for us. I think you should ask me already the second question. There's no way I can top this one. But I tried learning 2 skills unsuccessfully. One of them was whistling, but the loud whistle, the one that you do with your fingers. But I found that to be the wrong time.
Do it. There you go.
He'd already got that one, so he didn't have to learn it during lockdown.
Yeah. I failed at that, and then I'm also a big drag queen and drag show fans, and they always do the split. So I decided to train every 2 days on how to do the split, because they just do it so effortlessly. Like they do it, they jump, like, and it's just there, and I'm like, I need to be able to do this. So I trained, and I'm not capable yet, but
We're nearly there.
we're nearly there. I think it's very tough. It's very tough, and you need to do stretches first. Then you need to do like the training to go down, and then the stretches after. So it is a solid 30 minutes of your day that you're like really, really trying to do it. So I cannot demonstrate it yet, but if we do a follow-up call in a couple months from now, I'll be sure that I can make it happen.
Will you please also do a TikTok of the Nicki Minaj trend going around now with the splits in it? I
cannot promise. I really cannot promise that one.
I'm so excited. I'm like, how inappropriate can I make Borja be? Come on.
Doing splits is definitely more impressive than my Lego.
Cube. I think it is. Especially a man who can do the splits, it's like a whole other level.
I mean, I just don't know how it's going to become of use at any stage of my life, but...
Every party, ever.
Yeah, I was just going to say, that is like the ultimate party trick. If you were in a party and I was like, I can do a Rubik's Cube, and you were like, I can do the splits, no one would be interested in it.
Watch. Like, what's Simon doing with his Lego and his Rubik's Cube? That guy's great.
Yeah, that guy's on it.
But I've got Pokemon cards and my Legos. Like, why is not paying attention?
It's just like school again. I was going to ask as well, have you discovered a new YouTube creator, or have you watched something during lockdown that you really enjoyed?
I really enjoyed the Rupert Murdoch documentary. That's the first thing that came to mind.
Cool. Such an intellectual, you know.
What have I watched, actually? I haven't watched too much YouTube, ironically, through other than my how to do a Rubik's Cube video.
My favourite discovery during lockdown YouTube stuff was the spike in Animal Crossing, obviously, which I didn't play. People made remakes of music videos in Animal Crossing. So there is a video on YouTube that is Britney Spears' Toxic in Animal Crossing, and it is amazing.
Next time we catch up, you need to be able to do the Rubik's Cube and I'll do the splits.
Oh!
I fully take on board that challenge.
Honestly, I think Simon's got the top end of the deal there.
I think I'm going to really struggle with the split. I can't even touch my toes standing up, never mind do the splits.
Yeah, I started like that, and now I do touch my toes, so it is a progress at the end.
Yeah, to be fair, I was speaking to Bald and Bankrupt about this last week, and he started like doing stretches like 30 minutes a day, where you just like work on flexibility and stuff. And apparently like it's really, really healthy for the human body as well.
Simon, I love you name dropping your famous friends there. I was chatting to Bald and Bankrupt, and he's actually quite bendy.
Flexing, Pokemon, Rubiks.
Alfie days, come on, gang. Oh, it's so funny. Cool. Awesome. Right. Thank you so much, guys. Massively, massively appreciate it. This is the highlight of my day. We had an interesting day, so this was literally definitely the highlight. So thank you so much. Bye, everyone. I'm gonna do a Zoom wave.
Zoom it.